Hello everyone, fellow petrol heads, fellow car enthusiasts, and of course, motor fanatics. Hello, this is Hopper's Motorsport Vlogs. Good morning, good afternoon, or even good evening. Hope everyone is doing well. Today is Wednesday the 14th. Yeah, Wednesday the 14th of August 2024. Hope everyone's doing well. It's just gone, or coming up to 9:05 in the morning. Here in the UK, this sun is shining. What more do you want? So yes, today I'm going to be doing a vlog about Jake Hill. Does he have what it takes to take his first ever BTCC? That is right, British Touring Car Championship Drivers title. I thought it's only necessary to jump on and do this one. Obviously, if you're watching this, please can you also like, comment, and subscribe? Do all that jazz for me. It would help me out massively, just because gets the vlog recognition as well. So yeah, we're going to jump into, do we think Jake Hill has what it takes to win his first major British Touring Car title after what has been so far a bit of a very successful so far season for Jake Hill. Those who obviously didn't watch Knockhill at the weekend, like myself, but obviously race 2 result got leaked via obviously notifications on my phone, but I know what happened. But if you didn't know what happened at Knockhill in race 2, then don't watch this. Because obviously you'll think, oh, Hoppers has now spoiled it. But yes, we'll get into the vlog and do we think Jake's has got what it takes to become a first-time British Touring Car champion? Well, personally, before we get into this, this is a bit of a disclaimer. I'm no shape or form slating the rest of the touring car field, or am I slating the likes of Ash Sutton and of course Tom Ingram, and obviously of course Colin Turkington. I'm doing this purely about Jake Hill. I think Jake is a great racer. I think he's a wonder kid. He's just recently turned 30 years old this year, alongside of course Napa Racing's driver Ash Sutton. So for Jake to ultimately get his first drivers' championship, it's been a very good season for Jake. I'm not going to lie. It seems the BMW, obviously with the facelift, the facelift 330, it seems that that's the way they wanted to go forward, bring the facelift model into the BTCC, because it comes with a new package, it comes with a new surprise, it comes with basically a lot of things. I think personally, what I've seen so far this season, the opening rounds of the championship at Donington were won by, of course, Tom Ingram, but then Jake was on the podium, for race 1 and 2. Ultimately, it just shows that BMW now has potential. Take the equation, Tom Ingram obviously drives the Hyundai i30M Fastback. It's in its now fourth season, I think. It's now in its fourth season, maybe its third season. I can't remember top of my head. I think it's actually in its third season. Actually, no, it's not. It's actually tell a lie. 21, 22, 23, 24. Yeah, so it's now in its fourth year. Whereas the BMW 330 has been around since 2019. But obviously it's the 330e model, but obviously the 330 has been around since 2019, so it's in its fifth year. So really, it seems that potentially going forward, is it in its fifth? Yeah, it's in its fifth year. So basically, the cars of it, like I say, it's the facelift model. It's improved. It's it's got a bigger new. It's got a better engine in this year. It seems to be, better than what it is, and of course accelerate that run. The Hyundais obviously now have partnership backing with Team Dynamics, so that gives them the upper hand. But Jake, for me personally, like I say, he was on the podium at Donington Park, and then obviously that kind of set the tone with the likes of Tingram, Jake and Ash getting the podium in, I think it was the first 2 races, if I remember rightly. So that kind of sets the tone for the year. Where, okay, that was the opening round of the championship at Donington Park on the national circuit. But the problem is, you know, if the top three in the championship at the moment, as it stands, you know, okay, after Knockhill, Tingham has retaken the championship lead, but obviously, you know, to see Jake, you know, at his home circuit at Brands Hatch, it looked like it was going to go very well until a steering failure in race 2 ultimately made him have a DNF. I think it was race 2. I can't remember top of my head. Someone will probably correct me in the comments, no doubt. But obviously, you know, Jake had a bit of a disaster at his home track of Brands Hatch. And I think, you know, that was kind of like, well, not really, you know, it kind of was a bit of an ideal start of the season at Donington, but then come to his home event at the second meeting of the season at Donington Park. It has shown, you know, not Donington, Brands Hatch rather, sorry. Just shown when it comes to his home event at Brands, it seemed to be, you know, want to go out as home advantage. You know, we know the track, he works there, and predominantly, you know, pushes on quite a bit, and you know, especially in front of his family and friends, and also the home crowd. So at Brands, it seemed to be a bit of a, you know, step back, thinking, what if? Because the likes of Colin Turkington won the first 2 races, so the sister, not Laser Tools car, but the sister BMW from West Surrey Racing won the first 2 races, and then argumentably Ronan Pearson for Accelerate Run race 3 at Brands. So really, Jake was on a bit of a back foot going into Snetterton. You know, we were at Snetterton in May. I think what surprised me the most, though, was the likes of, obviously, Jake in the Quick 6 qualifying. You know, okay, there's been a few ifs and buts in that. We'll get into that very soon. But when Snetterton came around in May, when it was atrocious weather conditions where it was wet on the Saturday, but obviously seemed to try and dry up after qualifying, I think, and potentially Jake was on the money. You know, he looked very, very quick in that BMW. He managed to get it onto pole position, and then obviously race 1, go and breeze and go and win that, and then potentially, you know, with conditions changing again before race 2 at Snetterton, yes, we were there. You know, I feel like Jake won, and I think argumentably to get a double race win, and then obviously a couple of podiums at Donington, you know, then obviously started thinking, well, this is now what I want. I want a championship fight, and then it looked like obviously race 3 at Snetterton, yet again changeable conditions. But because the track was drying out, and argumentably, well, it was dry in some parts, it was wet in some places, but argumentably, we thought he could go 3 from 3 at Snetterton. But obviously, you know, as time went on with the race, you know, in race 3, yes, okay, he had the pace, but ultimately it was just a bit of a do or die. But at Snetterton, it was a strong weekend, pole position, 2 race wins, so fair enough, you know. And then heading to Thruxton, you know, argumentably, when Jake's been at Thruxton previously, he's been on the podium. He's got, you know, he had a race win there this year. Well, I should say 2 race wins, because Tingham got excluded for cutting the chicane, so Jake got 4 race wins. And argumentably, these 4 race wins already were propelling him up the table, and this is no disrespect to likes of Napa and Ash and Accelerate with Tingham, but what I've noticed with WSR and that BMW, and Jake Hill's BMW particularly, is that car, Jake's gone into this season ultimately, like everyone does on the grid, they want to go and win the British Touring Car title. And I think, you know, personally, he managed to do it. And then obviously going into the likes of Alton Park, you know, going into Alton Park as, you know, I think he might have been championship leader, I think. I can't remember whether he's championship leader or he's thereabouts, but, you know, the likes of, you know, getting the bigger point scores for obviously race win. Yes, okay, ultimately he was on the podium, but then obviously with Tingram's exclusion in race 2, and probably potentially Ash Sutton's downfall with the broken splitter, seems to be like pushing on with what Jake wants to do. So then obviously Ash won race 3 at Thruxton, so that kind of now put the curveball onto Ash. But then, I think they were throwing it about a bit with the likes of, so I think Tingram was still leading the championship going into Alton Park. So if I'm wrong, just correct me in the comments, guys. I'm not always 100% remembering these things. I should do, being a fan of 25 years, but it is what it is. But yeah, so Alton Park, ideally, Jake got on the podium, I think, in race 1, I think, and then, had, getting in there and getting stuck in, and argumentably, what amazed me was the fact the race 3 drive at Alton Park, when the likes of, Power Max Astras of Mikey Doble and Aaron Taylor Smith were, they were first and second for a bit, and then Mikey Doble, was leading the race. Ultimately, Jake was catching Aaron Taylor Smith up, excuse me, and got past him. And then, argumentably, as soon as the lap started tumbling down, Jake was closer and closer reeling in Mikey Doble. And to be fair, I'm not going to lie, and this is how I feel, but personally, when Jake made that move on Mikey, going into the hairpin, fair play. It was a good move. Mikey got back past going up the hill, but then Jake got into the chicane, the chicane ahead of him, and made the move stick. So to get the third and final race victory of the first half of the season. So Jake by then has already had 5 race wins. So personally, I think Jake previously has made a few mistakes. Look at Croft last year, where he spun out twice, which ultimately didn't help him. We'll get on to Croft in a minute, but going into the summer break, I think personally Jake, put him in anything. You put him in the Super Touring Nissan Primera, which he predominantly races at Super Touring Power. Okay, he won both races on the Saturday, and then the guy Richard Wheeler in the sister Primera had a horrible shunt with Steve Soper, which Richard then decided on the Sunday to withdraw all of the cars, the 2 remaining Primeras of Jake and of course Anthony Reid, which for Jake that would have been an ideal perfect weekend, because he blitzed Super Touring Power last season, winning the 4 races. So argumentably, going into the summer break, I think it kind of helped him, having a bit of a race, and then going up to Goodwood, taking a Calsonic R32 Skyline. He's actually got one of his road car, and I think personally, stick him in any, like we say, stick Ash Sutton in anything, he can win anything, but then put Jake Hill in anything, he can do very well. So he had obviously Goodwood Festival of Speed, but also Jake has also become a first-time father over the winter period, which, believe it or not, is probably a good thing, because that shows the next generation of the family tree. So personally, looking at what's happened over the summer break, and then obviously now going into this second half of the season, Croft ideally wasn't so great, going as championship leader with 1 second of hybrid, not the best. Ideally, probably what he didn't really, he probably has never been in that situation where he's been leading the championship, and he's probably thought, I'm leading the championship, I now need to knuckle down. However, come to Croft, and this is no disrespect, Jake, if you're watching this, and this is also Simon and everyone part of the team, but it seems like Croft has been a bit of a nightmare for you guys over the last couple of years, last year as well, and obviously, this year pinged for track limits in qualifying. It's not done on like pressure points or there's a other circuits, So MSV have pressure points where it'll register if a car's gone off and it's broke track limits. Whereas at Croft, this is no disrespect to people that own Croft either. Croft, I've been there numerous times. I've actually been there 7 times. With what was I going to say? With qualifying this year, track limits, Jake got pinged for track limits, which ultimately knocked him out of potentially the first half of the Quick Six qualifying, which, has been a bit of a shame. And it was done by the eye. It wasn't done by a pressure point or some other method of measuring track limits. It was done by the naked eye, which, they couldn't tell him where he got penalised for track limits. He wasn't the only driver. Our pal Mr. Dan Rowbottom also fell foul to the track limits there as well. So really, track limits at Croft ultimately cost Jake a good start for the weekend. Yes, okay, 1 lap of hybrid. Okay, well, that could easily be done. You've got the likes of Tingram and you've got the likes of Sutton that have been in them similar situations before, but Jake has ultimately had to deal with that. And I think, personally, I think the weekend was trying to start very well. The second race, however, contact with Tom Chilton put him in the barrier. It wasn't great. And then obviously starting towards the back, I think it was towards the back in race 3, and it kind of, I think Croft was kind of a bit of a weekend of a few what if, should we say. Maybe I could be wrong. But, Jake personally had to learn with being championship leader, probably, I'm not going to say pressure got to him. I think personally, being championship leader, I think he was trying to think, well, I need a better, different outlook compared to what I go into as a weekend. So Croft was a bit of a weekend where it then dropped him back down to, I think it dropped him down to second, or it dropped him back down to third. I don't know. I can't remember top of my head. And then this weekend, just gone at Knockhill, I think Quick Six on the Saturday, I think he was outside of that as well, somewhere thereabouts. Ultimately, trying to push through the race. Knockhill's a tight circuit. It's only 8 corners. And then ultimately race 2, started obviously on the soft tyres. Obviously him and Robo were on the mediums in race 1, but because they finished in the top 10 of or the top 6, I think, top 10. The top 10 have to use the next option tyre. So if you use the mediums in race 1, you either go onto the hards or you go onto the softs. But obviously the hards weren't available this weekend, so it has to be the softer tyre, which ultimately, propelled Jake and of course Robo up into first and second, And personally, I'm not going to lie, for Jake to go and win his 6th race of the season, that's 6 now races. It's 5 more better than Ash Sutton, and about 3 more races than Tingram, because Tingram's got 3 race wins. So personally, obviously if it comes down to race wins, ultimately if it's level on points, it comes down to the race wins. Jake will have superior, probably, hopefully, you never know, have more superior race wins. But I think Jake has got what it takes. He made his debut in BTCC in 2013, stepping in for Liam Griffin in the older Focus ST model, the one that Alliance Racing, that used to be Motorbase, ran for the likes of Aaron Taylor-Smith, Matt Jackson and other people. But Jake stepped in for Liam Griffin in the Addison Lee car back in 2013 when Liam couldn't make Croft due to business commitments. So Jake's been around. Obviously, he's in the Toka package in Ginetta Juniors, race wheel to wheel with the likes of Tom Ingram there. So really, personally, I think, that's why the title fight this season's hotting up, and then obviously went into G50s for a while, then made his debut in BTCC in 2013. I think he then went in the LDS3 for a one-off meeting at Brands Hatch, his home event at the end of the year. Or was it I think it was the LDA4. I'm mistaken. It's the LDA4 because he teamed up with, Rob Austin at the time to race in the LDA4 at Brands Hatch at the end of the season. And then obviously he made his main game BTCC season main year in 2015, I believe, with the Volkswagen CC, the Volkswagen Passat CC for Team Hard. I think it was 2015. I could be wrong. No, it wasn't. I'm wrong. Skip that. He raced for Team Hard, well, what was formerly known as Team Hard, in 2016 in the Toyota Avensis. However, a few issues there, and then 2017 he was in the Volkswagen CC, and then ultimately, started climbing up the ladder. Got into 2019 was when Jake won his first ever British Touring Car race with the late Dan Kirby, with, of course, I can't remember what their team was called. Trade Price Racing, there you go. Yeah, there you go. Trade Price Racing. They ran the LDS3s. He did win on the road at Alton Park in race 3 in 2019, but however got excluded for taking out Matt Neal, which I don't think Matt Neal was the best, and was very aggrieved by it. And then obviously later on that year, he's actually got his first race win at Knockhill. So, obviously Jake's won at Knockhill in the past, but then obviously 2020 teamed up with MB Motorsport, which Mark Blundell, shout out to Mark and obviously MB Motorsport for putting on, what was which seems to be a great partnership. He obviously with Jake in the FK2 Civic Type R, with obviously trying to, ultimately curtailed by the coronavirus pandemic, it seemed, it seemed that, it was a bit of a far reach with, the likes of course, Mr. Ash Sutton winning in the Infinity Q50, and of course, 2021, Jake won at Croft twice, I think. Was it twice? I can't remember. No, it was only the once in the Focus ST, that now Alliance Racing now race. So, Jake obviously seems to be, and it's been in all sorts of cars, and then obviously 2022 then jumped into a mega drive that, people would ultimately dream of, getting a works drive. Yes, okay, it's the satellite team to West Surrey Racing, but in the 330E, the road kit car, the black road kit car, and then ultimately strike a deal last season to get Laser Tools on board for last season and this season. So potentially Jake's literally been thereabouts in the championship. I think this season, personally he may just get it. I've got every faith that he'll probably get it, and if he does, it'll be one hell of a achievement for Jake, especially his car 24 winner, and I think personally fitting, I spoke to his dad Simon at the start of the year. Simon and I had a good crack about what potentially could be happening, what Jake's aims are for this year, and it was kind of like, yeah, Jake wants to go and win it like everyone else does. And I think personally, fair play, if Jake does win it, I'll be mega proud, because I think, he's worked so hard to get where he is, to get that elusive touring car title. I can see it ultimately, we've got next weekend at Donington Park on the GP loop. I think personally, Sutton's going to want to try and get back to where he wants to be. He's only had one win. He's third in the championship. You know, I don't want to be disrespectful to Ash and Napa. You know, because obviously, you know, I don't slate drivers and stuff like that. But I think personally, the way things have gone this year for Napa, the cars are, you know, everyone says, oh, the Napa cars aren't performing well. What's going on? Well, it's, you know, other teams around them have worked better. You know, you've got Accelerate that have improved their car. West Surrey Racing have brought the BMW 330e facelift to the grid, and that's come with a bunch of upgrades. Speedworks' Toyota Corollas have ended up somehow now coming back how they wanted to be many years ago. So really, it shouldn't really matter. But the Napa cars, to me personally, I think because every car, when it loses a title or it doesn't do well, they go back to the drawing board and say, look, this is what we need to do. We need to improve this. So, argumentably, wouldn't be surprised if, you know, Ash tries to get another couple of wins before the end of the season. I can't mathematically see an Ash win the title. I could see him finishing maybe second, maybe third. But ultimately, I'd love to see Jake win the title, because then it would show exactly how much of a character building year it's been. You know, the car seems to be so far, argumentably, a very quick one, and probably no doubt a championship winning one. But the thing is, you know, with 9 races to go, 3 rounds, 9 races, 3 rounds to go, it could be anyone's guess. Ideally, I don't think we'll be getting what I personally want, is the race to go down to the final race of the season, to the final lap. I don't think that'll be happening. I think we'll end up seeing it getting clinched in race 2, no doubt. But then again, you never know, it might go down to race 3 at Brands come the start of October. So we don't know. It's going to be tricky. You know, the likes of obviously Donington Park GP. You know, what's that gonna throw up? Silverstone National. You know, we know for a fact Jake won there last year, only to then have an electrical issue, and then obviously some issues there, and then of course Brands Hatch. You know, he won the season finale at Brands last season. You know, with a stellar move. Yes, okay, it looked like he went on the grass and did that move, but it was an absolute fabulous move. Couldn't believe it, between Josh Cook and I think it was, I can't remember who else it was. But, you know, it's a stellar move. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this vlog, guys. If you have, please do give it a massive thumbs up. Please do like and subscribe. And also do give me a comment, because I think it'll be a great one to see some comments on this one. I'm interested to hear your thoughts about it. What do you think's going to happen in the title? Do you think Jake will win it? Do you think, you know, what do you guys really think? Let me know in the comments. I'll reply to some of them. And yeah, we'll see you in the next vlog. Take it easy. Take care. It's alright.